When solving equations with variables on both sides, there's 3 steps that you need to follow. Step 1 is to look and see, do I have distributive property? If I do, make sure you do your distributive property. Step 2, combine your like terms. Step 3 is the most important one. Get your variables on the same side. Before you start adding and subtracting any constants, work with your variables first. So in number 1, I don't have distributive property. I don't have any like terms that are on the same side because I'm looking at my equal sign and there's no like terms on this side, no like terms on this side that I can combine. So I jump right to step 3, getting my variables on the same side. I like to keep my x positive, my variable positive. So in order to do that, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So minus 3x here, minus 3x here. So 3x minus 3x means it's gone. 4x minus 3x gives me that 1x. Drop down my negative 2, drop down my equal, and drop down my 4. Now I have a one-step equation. So to do this now, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So in this problem, x will equal 6. Each problem, you go through those 3 steps. So looking at this next one, step 1, distributive property. I have distributive property with this problem. So I am going to distribute my 8 to both terms, here and here, and I'm also going to distribute my 5 to both terms, here and here. So 8 times x is 8x. 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. Drop down my equals. Now I have 5. 5 times 2x is 10x. 5 times 1 is 5. So step 1, distributive property. Step 2, look at same sides of equal signs. Can I combine any like terms? In this one, no, there are none on the same side of your equal signs. So step 3, get your variables on the same side. So I like to keep it positive. So I'm looking at 8x and 10x. So I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides. So minus 8x, minus 8x. So that's gone. 8x minus 8x is 0. So I'm going to drop down my negative 24. Drop down my equal sign. 10x minus 8x is 2x. And drop down my plus 5. Now I'm going to go from here and solve my equation. So it's a 2-step equation. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. So I get 2x, so that's gone, equals negative 29. And I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And x will equal negative 29 halves. Or you can call this one negative 1 and then 4, negative 14 and a half. So step 1, distributive property. Step 2, combining like terms. Step 3, get your variables on the same side. This last problem has all of those steps in it. So step 1, distributive property. Both sides have a distributive property. I'm going to distribute negative 2 to both terms, distribute a negative 1 to both terms. So 3x comes down. Negative 2 times x gives me negative 2x. Negative 2 times 6 gives me negative 12. Equals 4x comes down. Negative 1 times x gives me a negative x. Negative 1 times negative 10 gives me a positive 10. So step 1 is distributive property. Step 2, combining like terms. This time I have like terms on either side of your equal sign. So here on this side, on the left side, I've got a 3x and a negative 2x that I can put together to create x. Drop down my minus 12. Drop down my equal sign. On the right side, I have 4x and negative x. I can put those together to create 3x plus 10. So now that I combine like terms, now that I did distributive property, step 3, the most important one, is get your variables on the same side. So I like to keep it positive. I could subtract 3x from both sides, but that would give me a negative 2x. So what I'm going to do is just subtract x from both sides, minus x from 3x. So now here you have your negative 12 equals 3x minus x is 2x, and drop down my plus 10. So now it's a two-step equation. So minus 10 from both sides. You get 22, negative 22 equals 2x. And then divide both sides by 2. So x will equal negative 11. Multi-step equations with variables on both sides. Three-step process. Step 1, distribute a property. Step 2, combine like terms on the same sides. Step 3, the most important step, is to move your variables first. Work with those variables first. Get them on the same side. That's the most important piece. It gets less confusing when you put your variables on the same side.